This program was first broadcast on Canterbury's access media station, Plains FM, and was made with the assistance of New Zealand On Air.
Hey! Come on!
Babes, listen. It's time to jump on into it with your pals Nat and Jess and catch up on all things women's health and fitness.
Welcome, babes, listen. Welcome, Jess. Welcome, Sync. We are in for another week. Peace.
Yeah, it's Friday. It's Friday again.
What have you been doing for the last week,
Well,
my friend?
here's what I've prepared earlier because right before we started recording, I was like, what have I done in the last week? I need to have an answer. And, so in the last week, really all I've been doing is studying and boring, doing a literature review. Actually, not so boring.
What is it about?
Well, the review that I did was about prison as an intervention for well-being for the prison population. So it was actually very, very interesting. But for anyone who has done a literature review, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, like, I'm back at uni and honestly I've forgotten how much work goes into something like an essay.
Yeah. Have you watched those, this is not, anyway, this is what I think of when you say this. Have you watched that Netflix show about the prisons around the world? And you can, have you? No? So it's like each episode is they go into like a prison in a certain country, and then every episode is a different country. And then it's amazing seeing, there's one country, I can't remember what it is, you might know, that has basically the lowest rate of reoffending because of the way that they go about prison. So,
possibly some Nordic country,
for sure.
like Sweden, Denmark.
Yeah, I think it is like Sweden, where their prison is so, obviously they've got different like levels of it, but when you go into it, their prison is so almost relaxed, like the guards treat the prisoners as humans, just like they're normal people, and, just chat with them, make coffee and whatever, and they've got the lowest rate of reoffending because of the amount of money that they pour into that, pretty much. That's pretty cool, eh?
I think it's awesome. Treating people like human beings is helpful. And that's the evidence of it right there. Yeah. Less reoffending. But from prisons to your week, what have you been up to?
Oh, not much, eh?
No connection there?
No connection with prison or offending. Or reoffending, sorry. What have I been up to? Well, just work, lots of work. Oh, I got an overlocker.
Oh, yes, you did.
That's the highlight of my week.
Have you picked it up yet?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I picked it up, went all the way to Rangiora, picked it up, brought it back, and then, do you know what I've realised? If you can thread an overlocker, you can do anything in life.
Yep.
It's like the most complex thing I have ever done. Have you ever done that?
I haven't, but I've heard stories about it.
Honestly,
yeah.
It's like, and so it's an 80s overlocker. It's super old. And it's, anyway. So there's a video on YouTube. There's also my manual, which is fine, but, really hard to understand. So I'm doing that. And there's a video that was filmed in the 80s and the quality is awful. So you can't see which, like, needle or hole they put things into, but you just try and guess. But I got it the first time right. I know. It took me a long time. Like, I took each step very slowly, and I had breaks and stuff. I even had a hair torch on.
Mining for
Essie was like,
thread.
I've seen this on TikTok. I'm pretty sure you're meant to wear a hair torch when you thread an overlocker. I was like, wow, okay.
Must have helped, though. You were able to see.
Oh, like 10,000 times better. Before that, I was like, I couldn't really see much.
So how many steps to thread an overlocker?
Many. Because there's 4, what are those things? 4 thread thingies.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
No.
4 threads.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not the seller in the
each
relationship.
one has to go through a whole labyrinth.
Yes.
So you have to do that 4 times.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, so
and then
I
do you
just feel
still
confident in
feel
life.
like sewing after you've done that?
Oh no, I was done by then. I did it and I tried it. It worked and I was done. I was like, I'm not even going to find out how to work tensions and stuff. I'll just figure that out tomorrow. But it was I'm just so happy I've got one. Now my things can look. Do you know what it does?
This?
You don't have to. Yeah. It does this. Like your seams. If you all look at your tops.
Yeah.
Look at the seam. See how professional it looks.
Try that at home.
Have a quick look now. Go on. You're in the cast, okay? Just and that's how it's going to look now when I sew.
Well, that is very exciting and worth the 6 hours that it took you to thread.
I never said 6, but thank you. Yes.
I'm guessing it was 6. By your description, I'm guessing it was 6. Well, then, no, that's very cool. So you can be busy now with fitness stuff and with sewing. How will you balance the two?
Oh, I don't have a lot of time for sewing at the moment. I haven't done, Ben? You know
Yes,
Ben. Yeah,
yes.
So Ben and I sew together sometimes. And he was like, and I haven't even replied yet because I haven't opened the message. I'll reply to you soon, Ben.
Hopefully by Monday when he hears it.
He was like, what are you working on at the moment? And I'm like, Ben, the same thing as I was working on like 3 or 4 weeks ago, okay? Because I have not moved on because I haven't had the time. But I'll find time because it's good for myself. Enough about me. What's the topic today? What a shame. I saw it.
Sneak peek over here with Nat. So this is a situation that came up for me, and I will get to kind of how I got onto shame, but just a little bit of background is that Greg and I met 18 years ago. A couple of weeks ago was sort of our anniversary date, if you will, and it was 18 years. So I like to celebrate stuff. So I did a post on Instagram and 18 years.
She's
and
back on Instagram, everybody.
well, that
She's
was my return after my 4-month hiatus. I decided that I was going to go big and sort of celebrate 18 years, which is a big deal.
It is a big deal. That's massive. 18 years together. That's amazing.
Yeah, our relationship is an adult. Some days it's more like a toddler, but
What does that mean?
I don't know. I
does
imagine
that mean?
I imagine it's when you're kind of like, sort of arguing with each other and you literally throw your toys.
Is that what you do?
Sometimes
Who throws the toys first?
Greg,
Oh, really?
for sure.
Would he say you if I asked him?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. But, 18, you imagine, sort of your relationship kind of grows over time. And now that we're into the adult phase, I'm excited for what's to come. Anyway, so what I've been getting, though, is congratulations on 18 years of marriage. And then I'm like,
it's not marriage.
no, and I'm like,
How
on
many
and
years marriage?
well, almost 10 years.
Okay.
10 years in a couple of days. So, but this is kind of part of my story, I guess, is so I've been sort of, kind of clarifying the confusion. No, sorry, we're not married 18 years. Actually, we've only been married for 10, but we've been together for 18 years. And then I was sort of thinking about it, and it was actually at Sean's birthday on Saturday night.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, why do I celebrate the 18 years and not the 10 years of marriage? And what I said to Jared, I think, was asking me about it maybe. And I said, I think it's because we have a 17-year-old. And there's part of me that I think maybe doesn't want the stigma of that. Kind of, and also
you had a child before you were married?
Yeah, I think so. And I hate even saying that.
No, I understand it because it's a stigma.
Yeah. So I think that, sort of, I guess for the 8 years before we got married, when, people were asking how long have you been together, it was only the time since we'd met up until that point, right?
Yeah.
So the marriage kind of came a bit later, and, sort of 10 years marriage doesn't really sort of like, sort of highlight the fact that actually we've been together 18. So anyway, but it just got me thinking about, is this something that I feel shame about?
Let's dig on that.
What is this whole shame thing?
Could you just as a side note, could you just like not lie, but just let it fly. You know, when people are like, oh, congrats on 18 years of marriage, you could be like, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I think I'm too honest. And if you've been listening to the podcast, you probably realise it's a thing for me. I overshare. I do. I overshare. I say stuff when I don't really need to expand on it because I think people can read my mind and they can tell when I'm not telling the truth and all of that. So
it's like today when you were so weird in the staff room. She was real weird in the staff room.
I was,
and she was like, I just feel like I just need to keep talking about the fact and explain myself that I'm weird because I don't want you to think that I'm weird about you or you. I'm just feeling weird, okay? And I was like, no one's thinking that. You don't have to explain.
But it was so obvious.
No, it wasn't.
I was weirder than normal.
Yeah, but to you it was obvious, but everyone's a bit weird anyway, so no one's thinking she's weird. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't obvious, but it was just really sweet that you're like, oh, I'm so sorry, I need to explain to you and to you and to you what's going on with me. I don't know, but I just feel weird.
Yeah, so oversharing is my thing. Unfortunately, that's not the topic for today. The topic for today is shame. So what is shame? Shame is a painful emotion that responds to a sense of failure to attain some ideal state. It is also described as a moral or social emotion that drives people to hide or deny their wrongdoings. Shame often has a cultural component. It can help maintain social norms by reinforcing the idea that certain behaviours can harm others and have a negative impact on society. So in that way, shame also serves the purpose of controlling a society through their behaviour, like get married before you have kids, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Buy a house, have babies, and then that's you for the rest of your life.
Follow the normal trajectory. That's a big word. It's a big word to say, trajectory. And because have you noticed that since you've got married,
when is the baby coming?
do you get that?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Not as much as I think probably back in, I don't know, maybe 5 years or 10 years ago you would. But
Well,
I
that's
still
good
get
progress.
I still get it.
What's
Yeah.
your response?
Actually, I got it, it depends on the person, really. It's normally, yeah, we want them, but not yet. Shut it down. But if it's it depends on who it is.
Yeah, true.
Like I had one lady at an appointment who, she's so lovely, she's so nice, and she was so forward with it. And I thought, you're so forward, I could shut it down, but you're actually, like, I know your intentions are really kind. But the thing that's really hard is because it's just not really a question you should ask, especially when, what if I was trying and I actually couldn't? What if, I don't know, there's all kinds of issues that could be going on with me or my partner or both of us. Like, it's just not really, it's not something that anyone should bring up unless the person brings it up about themselves, you know, then it's appropriate.
I think
Because
that's
they're
true.
able to share. Oh, you want to share? Okay, then I'll ask you about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's true of a lot of topics,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah.
that are sensitive, is that let that person bring them up. You don't really need to kind of ask them. You know, like, for example, like with grief, you know, if someone has just experienced a death, you know, if they want to talk about it with you, they will bring it up. They might not want to go to that space in that moment.
Yeah.
You know, so like, let's say you were trying for children and you were facing infertility challenges and all of that. You know, that's something that you're going to volunteer if you want to.
If I want, if I want to. If I want your advice or your opinion or whatever. But no, I'm not going to bring it up with everybody.
I think this is probably a good reflection on things having changed then. Like you mentioned, you don't feel like people are asking as much as they would even 5 years ago. And I wonder if, because there have been so many more conversations about infertility and more open conversations about couples who choose not to have children, that it's no longer, well, in one way it's no longer expected that that's what you must do. And in another way, there's now more sort of awareness around the fact that infertility is a thing, and it's quite a common thing.
And it's actually been a thing for forever. It's not new, but it's just now more people are talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had the kids first, as I mentioned, and so...
Yeah, let's dig into that.
my question was, when are you getting married?
Yeah.
So if you have the kids first, you get, when are you getting married?
You need a ring on that finger.
Yeah, well, and as I kind of shared, you know.
Although you did want the ring.
Yeah, I was waiting for a while. He had it ready to go.
You
but...
know, so now, do you feel like you still feel shame now when people say, congrats on 18 years of marriage, and then you're like, oh, no, it's actually 10 years. Does that bring that emotion, shame?
So this is what I reflected on. And I would say consciously not, as in when I'm kind of explaining, oh, no, actually we've been together, you know, we haven't been married 18 years, you know, whatever. Not consciously, but when I reflected on it and I kind of went, why do I, you know, kind of make a big deal about the time we've been together and I don't make a big deal about kind of our wedding celebration, whatever, years married. That's kind of, where did that come from?
Because it was a shame emotion back then, that because people bring it up, it kind of just brings back that emotion, even though that's not really maybe how you feel now, because you're married now, so it's not like you're still waiting, but it just kind of brings that back.
I think so.
To where you were back then.
Yeah, I think if I'm really honest about it, which I will be because I've shared that I can't not be, there was a feeling, and I've said this before, we had friends who met after we had met, got engaged, got married, and we're now separating. And, you know, like...
So you're like, look, there's a whole life cycle going on there, Greg. Where's my ring?
Pretty much. So there was sort of that, you know, there was a feeling a little bit, I think, for me also of, am I not good enough? You know, like a kind of...
so that's where it comes from. Then.
I think that's it.
I think the feeling of not feeling good enough.
Yeah. Like, am I not enough for this person to want to marry me? And listen, I have shame even talking about this now, because it shouldn't be up to the male to, you know, sort of like, you know, sort of propose, and that conversation shouldn't be a matter of kind of waiting and all of that. It's just, there's conditioning around that I'm trying to let go of.
There's conditioning, but also you wouldn't feel like this, or you wouldn't have felt like this at the time if people at the time weren't constantly asking.
Yeah,
like, when are you getting married? You know, because if they didn't make it like it was a big deal and didn't even mention it, then you probably wouldn't care as much.
Yeah, and I guess also we moved to new places, so it wasn't sort of like I was around people that I knew that
already knew.
It was sort of you know, kind of, and people would say, your husband? And because I'm so honest, I'm like, no, he's not my husband.
That's when you could have just let him.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but then what if they found out he wasn't my husband, and then they think I'd lied?
Before Esther and I were married, people would say you and your hubby, and I would just let it go.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just be like, yeah, whatever he is to you, to me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so so there's a theme. Yeah. There's a theme of kind of maybe where I didn't need to disclose as much, you know, sort of information, and then...
Because you were worried that they might find out that you are a fraud because he's not actually your husband.
It's true. I had a really interesting experience in France, actually, and I think Greg was with a team called Leinster at the time, and they were playing a team, I'm pretty sure it was like Clermont. I don't know. I don't even know where that is. But anyway, so I flew over for the game. But if you're like a coach's wife, you can stay in their room because they're not sharing a room with another player, and it's not, you know, before they play the game, whatever. So
thank you for clarifying.
Yeah. So, but my flight arrived before Greg's. Okay. So Greg flew with the team. My flight arrived before. So I had, you know, some directions to get to the hotel, whatever. And so I arrive at the hotel and I say, I'm checking in with my husband. His name is Greg Feek. And they said, oh, no problem.
He was your husband at the time?
No. No, sorry, I must have said partner then because,
okay.
I'm not great at lying. So anyway, so they were like, can we see some ID? So they had a look at my passport and it was, I didn't have the same last name as my partner, husband, right? So it's like Jessica Smith. And they were like, no. They were like, no. So I no, we can't check you into the room. And I was like, what? And then they were like, no.
What?
And yeah. So anyway, and it was raining. It was all very dramatic. It was raining. So he was still a couple of hours away.
So you can't even message him or FaceTime because he's up in the air.
He's
still.
on the plane. So I ended up sitting very shamefully in the reception of this hotel because they thought that I was...
You're fangirling.
Either a fangirl or the mistress, and that they were in that way kind of probably...
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So...
oh my God.
Yeah, so they wouldn't let me into the room. So I just sat in the reception waiting for him, and it was not a good feeling.
There's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
But if this hotel had the same experience now, surely they would let them in. Because people don't necessarily take their partner, women don't necessarily take their partner's even last names anyway when they are married.
I mean, it could have
People
been
don't even get married sometimes, ever.
Yeah, it could have been a security issue of, well, there's no other name on this room, so I can't let you in.
Okay.
Just because you've said...
I guess I understand that because if you were a serial killer, they would be in deep trouble.
They would be responsible. I could have just kind of taken a stab in the dark, chosen a name, nailed it, and managed to get into a hotel room.
No, actually. Or you were like a fangirl, you found out where Greg Fick was staying. You're like, I'm going to meet him in his room because I know that he lands in 2 hours.
Anyway, however, whatever.
That would have brought so much shame on you because you're waiting for this guy that can let you into, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I felt like a terrible person.
Like a mistress.
Yeah, that's exactly. I felt, or a stalker.
If the wife will walk in.
Yeah, or a stalker, exactly that, like a fangirl, where it was just like, no, we're not going to let you in the room, and it was raining, so I couldn't even walk around.
Did you have kids at the time?
Yeah.
Hey, this is a photo of us with our children. For goodness' sake, let me in.
Yeah.
You didn't go diva mode.
No, I did not. No, I was too embarrassed. So I think this is maybe where it's come from. Anyway, moving on. Here are some reasons.
Why are you still embarrassed about this, Jess?
Well, hopefully we'll understand by the end of the podcast.
I hope so too.
Thank you for your support. But what about you? Enough about me. If you're listening, if you're listening, and for you, Nat, these are reasons that people might feel shame.
Okay.
Other than not being let into a hotel room and
waiting for their partner.
Unrequited love. People might feel shame if unreciprocated love causes you yearning for more. You might feel shame.
Do you mean
you had that?
Like if you say love someone and they don't love you back?
Yeah.
The cliche when you say I love you first and you're like, thank you.
Thank you.
And you're like, that's not what I was looking for.
Should that be a red flag or should that just be...
You said I love you first and I said, okay.
Because you weren't ready?
I don't know. I can't remember. I just remember freaking out. I think I called Shani afterwards and I freaked out.
Yeah. How long did it take you to say I love you back?
Maybe like a week or two.
Right. I'd say it was a long week. It was a long week for you.
He was so good about it. Like I remember him being like, just because I love you doesn't mean that you'll love me straight away. And I'm like, cool.
Oh, he's very secure.
He was so secure. It still is. Yeah. No, but so still a red flag in your books because we're married now.
No. I was asking for a friend. Is it a red flag? Is it a red flag?
Maybe. I don't think so.
Unwanted exposure is another reason why people might feel shame. So something personal that we would like to keep private is unexpectedly revealed, or when we make a mistake in a public setting. What are you laughing at? This is me all the time. Like constantly oversharing and then going, oh, why did I say that?
Okay. What I'm getting from this is like you've been hiding something and then it all comes out.
Like what? Like what?
Nothing in particular. What do you mean what? Move on.
Oh, sorry. Still very confused, but
Really?
I'll find out after we finish recording.
I think Sink even knows.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you two not know?
What do you mean?
Nothing.
What are you talking about?
Keep rolling.
Okay.
Keep going.
Disappointed expectation. Can you tell us later? Thank you. After show. Disappointed expectation. The feeling of dissatisfaction that follows the failure of expectations or hopes to manifest.
I don't get it. It's too many expectations and dissatisfaction in one thing. Can you rephrase for the bilingual people?
Sorry. Okay, so you expect something to happen. Like let's say you've shared with people that you're going for a particular job.
Yes.
And your expectation, like you're pretty confident you're going to get the job, so you've shared it with people.
Never be too overconfident.
And then you don't get the job. And there's shame and kind of, sort of like not meeting the expectations that you thought of yourself.
Yeah.
Or I guess expectations that other people have of you.
Oh, yeah, that's the worst.
Exclusion, being left out of connection or involvement with others or groups that we would like to belong to.
That sucks. That's a sucky feeling.
That is the worst.
Yeah, but that's what you're so aware of. That's why she like invites everyone all the time to all of our coffees. It's very kind, but sometimes we've got stuff to get done.
You're welcome to come next time, by the way.
Whenever we've got something on and we've got this sketch up, Jess, anyone that's around instantly feels bad, even though they don't expect it. She's like, do you want to come to coffee now? Oh, great. Do you want to come to? And then all of a sudden we've got a whole gym with us.
Yeah, I think this is it.
We're not going to get anything done, are we?
No, and I think the problem is this feeling of really that I feel like people can kind of read my mind. So like we're going to coffee, but I feel bad that like they're not coming too. So I just feel like I have to say something because otherwise they know that they're being left out. And
but that's your worst fear, right?
My worst fear.
Out. But where does that come from? Have you been left out before?
Probably.
Okay. You don't want to go into that?
Oh no, I don't. Nothing comes to mind. Okay. Yeah, nothing comes to mind, but I...
It's really nice of you. Like, it's really nice. You just don't exclude anybody, and it's really good of you.
Yeah, and Nat just doesn't enjoy it, like she said, when we've got stuff to get done. You know what I mean? She's like, look, okay, so we'll have a meeting. And I'm like, come along for coffee, join us.
And then I'm like, you can just tell them it's a meeting, and they'll get it. Like, we've got this thing called Babes Listen, and everybody kind of around us knows about it. So it's okay,
Yeah, now I know.
They'll get it.
Now I know. But my greatest fear is that someone will feel left out and I'm in any way responsible for that. So managing, kind of 60 group fitness instructors, nightmare. Because you can't possibly include everyone all the time. So that's where it became sort of problematic anyway. So what causes feelings of shame? The thing is that in order to experience shame, you have to have self-awareness that others are making judgments. And this is where teenage years are so tough, right? Because when you're a kid, you kind of like people are around you, but you're not really understanding that they're sort of like making judgments of you. So you're quite free to sort of like do your thing.
That's why kids are so free.
I know, like wasn't childhood so good?
So good, because you can just say and do anything and it's accepted.
Yeah, and you're not...
And I guess because you're not thinking about, you're not ashamed of anything.
Yeah.
So you just,
free to be yourself. So when you become a teenager, then you're aware that other people are judging you. You're aware of a set of rules or social norms that determine whether your actions are right or wrong. So there's an example here of, and jump in if this has ever happened to you, but maybe you've turned up to an event and you've overdressed or you've gone too casual?
What would you rather?
Great question. I would rather... Oh, I don't know. What would you?
See, I think when I was younger, I would rather have underdressed. But now that I'm older, I'd rather overdress.
Why do you think that's changed?
I think because as an adult, you're expected to not be underdressed.
Okay.
Maybe? I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, do you reckon? Yeah.
I really can't choose. I don't know which would be worse. Interesting that's changed for you,
You're very
though.
good at dressing for the occasion based on where we're going.
It's a big focus for me.
Yeah.
It's a bit, I put a lot of thought into
Sometimes
it.
she'll message me and she'll say, just FYI, I'm going real casual. Just so that I'll meet that. Hey, it's because so I meet that.
Yeah, that or I'm just real controlling.
No, but it's good because then I'm like, well, good, because so am I.
Yeah.
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 You're like, well, based on where we're going, this is a pretty cash place.
Yeah.
So let's both go cash, okay?
I think about which day of the week is it, you know, because like midweek is more casual than Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Whereabouts, geographically, where is it? Who am I going to be with? What's the kind of restaurant vibe like? A lot of thought goes into it. I am feeling pretty vulnerable today, I'll be honest. Self-blame is another feeling that causes shame. So shame and guilt are emotions of self-blame. In the course of daily life, bad things inevitably happen. According to something called attribution theory, human beings are naturally drawn to search for explanations for why that happens. So when we blame ourselves for bad things happening, we experience shame and guilt.
Interesting.
Anything that comes to mind? Nothing comes to mind.
Like on the self-blame?
Let's say you're making breakfast and you're running a bit late and you spill the milk everywhere, right? Spill the milk everywhere. You could actually just say, don't cry over spilled milk, or you could go into a complete spiral of, kind of, why didn't I just, sort of like do it properly? I'm a terrible person.
Oh, yeah.
Shame and guilt.
Done that. I've done that. I've definitely done that. Depends on how vulnerable you are as well at the time. It's the last straw.
Yeah.
But if you're like pretty happy, you're in a rush, I'll clean it up when I'm back, Depends on how vulnerable on the day. So don't spill milk today, okay, Jess?
Do you find also that when you're sort of vulnerable and you're having, Nat and I call it like a spiral?
Yes.
So like we're not feeling really good or not feeling confident, and then all of a sudden you start spiraling into, sort of like reliving all of the things that you've done badly and all of the ways that you're not, sort of like a good enough friend, sort of like good enough at your job and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
And
just not good at anything, really. I've just realised I've never been good at anything.
and don't you find that things like, kind of like breaking stuff happen on those days as well? And you're just like, I give up.
But that's when you need a good friend and just say, I'm spiraling, help me.
Yes.
Help me get out of the spiral. And then you generally always help me.
And there's an emoji for it too.
There is?
Yeah, that little emoji that I put on the end of my message when I say, help me, I'm spiraling.
Okay.
You know that one?
Oh, there is
Yeah.
too. Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Aren't you up with the play?
I think it's helpful, isn't it, to
What,
have
emojis?
a friend? Yeah, definitely. But to have a friend so we have this relationship where if one of us is kind of experiencing sort of anxiety or just going through that sort of rumination of like, I'm not a good person, I'm not a good friend, I don't feel like I'm doing anything well, is I'll call or message Nat and go, help me, I'm spiraling.
Yeah.
And you do the same.
Yeah.
And then we just have to message back.
Or call back. Or,
Yeah.
or on the phone. On the phone's better.
Yeah.
Faster.
You just pull
to
that
it.
friend out of
That
that whirlpool of...
Don't. Stop saying all of that. Yeah. Pulling you out. Real high.
above the water.
Really helpful. Ask for help when you're spiraling, friends.
Yeah. Just have one person. Have like a lifeguard. Have a lifeguard.
Oh my God, that's what... You're my lifeguard.
I am wearing red. That's true. And then we've got shame that is sort of healthy enough. And when it's no longer healthy, it's called toxic shame.
So there's healthy shame.
There's healthy shame. Yeah. Healthy shame is a normal and adaptive emotion that can serve as a moral compass, helping us to recognize when we have done something wrong and make amends.
Oh.
But toxic shame is an intense and prolonged feeling of worthlessness, failure, and self-disgust that is not based on specific actions or behaviors, but rather on a pervasive sense of being inherently flawed or inadequate. That's heavy.
That is heavy.
That's heavy. That's like a...
that is toxic.
Yeah, that's like a spiral that no one has pulled you out of.
Get that friend ASAP.
Yeah.
Get the lifeguard ASAP.
Yeah. I guess...
So healthy versus toxic. I'm just trying to think back of when in my life I would have had shame, because I'm sure I've had lots of it. You know? I used to be ashamed of my... this is when I was younger. I think I've mentioned on here. I used to be ashamed, and I hate that I was ashamed of that, of my mum's accent because my friends couldn't understand her. I used to hate that.
Yeah.
It really bothered me that people couldn't understand her. Well, they could, but like they would just make it, and especially like friends, they would be like, look at me and be like, what is she saying? I don't understand. I'd be like, don't be mean to me.
This is obviously when you were in France and she had a Kiwi accent speaking French.
Yes.
Aww.
Yeah, so I was quite young. But still, I hate that I was ashamed of that, but I was. And I remember thinking, I am never going to have, like I'm always going to make sure that I can speak the language properly when I have kids. I remember thinking that.
Oh, really?
Sad day. Does that mean? The poor mum was just doing her best. And I'm like, I didn't tell anyone. She doesn't always listen.
Till now.
She does. Yeah. She wouldn't mind, I don't think. I think I probably told her when I was older. But yeah, isn't that sad? I feel so bad for my mum. She's doing her best.
Oh, I only speak English, so I can't even imagine trying to live in France and speak French. But she's fluent in French, right? It was more the accent.
Thick accent, so people would be like, huh? And sometimes French people especially, but I don't know, sometimes people would be like, kind of look at me, and that was shameful because I'm like, don't look at me, she's talking, you know? But they look at me and be like, what is she saying? Rather than try and understand what she's saying, you know what I mean? And talk to her. So they were kind of rude in that way, yeah.
How did you feel then? Because, it flipped when you then came to New Zealand and tried to learn English with what I imagine would have been quite a thick French accent.
Oh, yeah.
Initially.
I would love to hear myself back then.
That would be cute. Do you have
There's
videos?
no way. Nah.
No,
because, I mean, we didn't have phones back then, but what were they like? I don't even remember. What were phones like in 2007?
Bricks.
Were they? No. Were they bricks?
No, it's the 80s.
Okay. No, still. Flip phones. Yeah, but probably didn't film, eh? They didn't have cameras and stuff. Yeah, we didn't have smartphones. So no, you won't ever hear it. I don't want to hear it anyway.
How did you find it then when you were trying to speak English and people were like,
I hated it. I hated it. Hated it.
Did you feel shame?
Yeah, probably.
There you go.
Probably. Like I used to hate it when people walk towards me at school because that means they're going to talk to me and they'd be like, don't come towards me. Don't, I can't even speak the language.
Do you have any kind of hangover from that
I don't know.
period of your life?
I just remember I'd be like, don't make any eye contact. They are coming towards the door. Don't do it.
But you're very
hey, hello. How are you? I'm 13. That's how Shandy met me, apparently. Apparently when she's like, how are you? And I'm going to say, I'm 13 years old. And she's like, nah, sis, that's not what I asked. But she just let it fly.
Well, and what a great sign of a future friend.
Yeah.
Just let it go. Let it go.
Well, she would have got it. Oh, no, she would. Actually, sorry.
It's all right. Sounds like the French accent's been dropped. Got that Kiwi one working well.
Stop.
I mean, Nat's a very, very friendly person, so I don't think there's any hangover from the time when she was like, don't come talk to me.
No, maybe not. Maybe there is. Maybe there isn't. Who knows? My therapist will know. Just ask her, hey, your therapist is coming on soon.
Yes, actually, we've got some very, very, very exciting guests coming up. And one of them is, I don't know if I should even say this just in case.
I've just said it. It's your therapist.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the other one? The other one, we don't have to disclose it. You'll hear her next week.
All going well, I will have my psychologist on the show in a few weeks. And she's going to be talking about something very, very cool, not my sessions. I do enough of that on my own. She's going to be talking about something.
So these are the things that Jess is currently working on, and this is from her trauma from this kind of.
There's nothing left. I've shared everything, there's nothing left. Anyway, so back to toxic shame. So we will have some guests. I don't want to kind of, sort of like broadcast that she's coming on, and then what if she doesn't? I'll be so disappointed.
I'll get mine then. I don't think she'd want to come on.
We'll find a therapist somewhere.
I could ask her.
Yeah, you want to ask her. Anyone's welcome. You want to be a guest?
Are you a psychologist and you want to come on? Message us on Babes Listen on Instagram.
If you know stuff, come and talk about it.
No, don't invite people like that.
Okay, sorry.
That's the other thing that Jess does. She just invites randoms all the time. Sorry, I shouldn't say this live on here. Not live, but sometimes you've invited people and I'm like, no, for no reason. But, sometimes there's an art to finding the right people, right? And you want someone that can talk and that will be able to talk. Like Carlos was incredible last week, can I just say?
Actually, shout out to Carlos. Because he was incredible.
He was, he's obviously, because there's a difference to talking on like this, on a podcast versus in real life, right? Especially when it's going out to people. Some people almost put on like a fake front on. You know what I mean? And that's what I fear. And no one has done it, but I don't want that to happen on our podcast because Carlos was so honest and he was so open, and that's what makes for such a good podcast. But the last thing you wanted was someone to be like, yeah, I'm perfect. Yeah, nothing's wrong with me. Nope, I've never had shame in my whole life. No, I've actually never struggled with anything at all. Have you? You know what I mean? And it's like, well, you're no good to me.
And also it's not the most comfortable thing to do as well.
No, which is why I understand this is not easy. I understand.
Yeah.
That's why not just everybody would want to do this,
Okay, good to know. That and coffee. Keep it just to the invitees. Oh. All right, so you'd like some tips on overcoming toxic shame, would you? First up, become attuned to the script of your inner dialogue and expand your capacity to observe, but not to react to it. So
don't feed it.
Yeah, don't feed the beast. Develop greater inner compassion with yourself, being able to choose compassion as an alternative to cultivate a dialogue of increased self-acceptance of your humanity. You're human.
It's okay to feel.
Yeah, and it's also okay, sort of not to
be perfect.
Yep.
Just knows.
It's a big focus for me at the moment. This means recognizing that, like all humans, you have flaws and weaknesses, make mistakes and suffer. We're not alone, even though we may feel that we are. Yeah, I did just read that. Become a witness to and mourn your wounds. This requires the ability to identify and sit with the pain associated with your hurts.
And that's hard.
That is so hard.
That's why having a therapist is really, really helpful if you've got the means. Because we've all got past demons and trauma. We do. We all have. Doesn't matter what your childhood was like. We all do to a certain extent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you've got the means, and because to do this, to sit with the pain and work through it on your own is tough.
Well, there's reluctance to go there, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But we have talked about recently, because both of us are seeing psychologists, not the same one, just how it can be really exhausting.
Oh, yeah, it's draining.
Emotionally very exhausting, incredibly important work, incredibly helpful. But the sort of therapy hangover that you can get sometimes is
therapy
tough.
hangover, this is it. But you, like, I've seen you after therapy, and I'm like, how are you even functioning right now?
Actually, sometimes I do see her on a Friday morning and I record the podcast. This is why I overshare.
Because you're vulnerable, because you've just been to therapy.
Yeah, I've just been primed. I've just been primed that's the normal way that you talk to people.
I've just been primed?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, when you talk to people, you tell them everything.
Plus, also, it's just the three of us. It's
yeah,
no
it's
one
true.
else listening.
It's true.
Because when I have been to therapy, I can't do anything the rest of the day. Like, I can't even see people. I just cannot. I've had a meeting before at like 7 p.m. online, and I just remember, I was engaged in whatever, but
as in you've had a
end,
meeting after the therapy.
Yeah.
In the past. Yep.
And I just remember just being so exhausted. Like, I just had nothing left to give, you know? So, yeah, amazing that you do it in the morning. I do mine in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And then switch off for the rest of the day. Sometimes I'll just, my routine post-therapy is I'll sometimes, because you see sometimes there's got clients at home. So I'll go and go to the supermarket and just buy treats. And then either wait for them to leave or go in a gap like between two clients and then just lock myself in the room.
Yeah.
And not talk to anyone. And then he's like, after his class, he's like, hey, are you ready to unpack? And I'm like, no.
So he wants to kind of be filled in on...
Yeah, so we always talk about it, yeah. Because a lot of the, sometimes we talk about, we're talking about me, right? So he wants to know what's going on so that he can help me. Yeah, he's a kind person.
That's cool.
Yeah, so then we unpack.
Number one supporter. And then do you feel okay the following day?
I think I do. It depends. At the beginning, I did. I don't think I did for a few days. I think I remember telling you where I was like, oh, man, I'm just drained forever now. This is me for the rest of my life. Not dramatic.
And that was your first experience of seeing a therapist?
Yeah. I had never seen one before. But you've seen some before, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen a few.
So what's your routine? You just grab your bag, go to work, off you go, teach your class, record podcast.
Because Fridays, sometimes if I have an appointment on Friday morning, then I come along to the gym and I do grit and then I teach body balance. Then I come and do the podcast.
How do you do that after therapy? Honestly, I don't understand.
I
love to... Can we put a poll out to see... What? No, like a question box. Why are you looking at me like this?
No.
I'm not. Okay. I don't mind that you have done polls. It's okay.
I wasn't thinking about that. But
okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were like, oh, I haven't.
Yeah.
Can we do a question box on our Instagram and then you tell us your therapy routine, post-therapy? I'd love to know.
I think that's a great idea. Self-care.
Do you go and get treats? What do you do to look after yourself? Because you've just open all these cans and then you're kind of left with it, you know? It's like, here's your protective blanket. Yeah, it's gone now. Off you go into the world. You go work on those things without your protective blanket.
Yes, it can definitely feel like that.
Yeah.
You know, like everything that you kind of do to keep yourself, sort of like safe, and you're unpacking it, sometimes it can feel a little bit like you're walking out of there naked, emotionally naked. Finally, overcoming toxic shame. Forgive yourself for feelings, thoughts, or actions of your former selves or younger self. It's really easy to beat yourself up with hindsight. So when you look back and you go, I should have done this differently, or, however, you can only act from the awareness you have at any given moment. The compassion to accept that you did the best you could with the knowledge, the tools, and the skills that you had at that time is very powerful.
Yeah, and that's actually a really, really nice way to end that.
Wrap up on the shame stuff.
Yeah. Forgive yourself for the past, You're here now.
This is it.
You're working on yourself now, aren't we, pal?
Yes, we are.
We just did a fist pump. You can't see it, but we did. Anything you want to add?
I think that's it for the shame stuff. Have I figured out? Yes, I have. I have figured out why I sort of had a little bit of shame around the whole, like only 10 years married but have a 17-year-old kid, whatever. So that's helpful. So that's been helpful for me today. How about you?
So you figured it out, did you say?
I feel like I have.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
In what way? Just because?
I think it's that. I think it's the kind of like so many people asking you or assuming that Greg was my husband when he wasn't, or, so when are you getting married? Like when people say that, it's sort of like, this is what you're meant to do. When is this happening?
Yeah. When are you going to meet that standard?
Yeah. Kind of like with you having gotten married and then people just assume that the next step is kids, like straight away, so yeah. I think I've unpacked it.
Yay!
Haven't unpacked why my words haven't come out so well today, though, but maybe that's...
It's a weird day.
That's a thought for later.
Today's a weird day, I
Very
reckon.
weird day.
We can just put it down to that.
Very
weird
explanation. Yeah, we won't get into details, but it's a weird day.
Okay, let's wrap it up. Follow us on the IG, Instagram, that whole thing, and TikTok if you want. Actually, sometimes I do post on there, so do follow that.
Oh, yeah.
Both called Babes Listen. See you next week.